And we are live on another edition of the K and K Sports Show, April, what is it, 3rd, 2024. Full panel, tons of stuff going on. MLB opening weekend, NFL draft coming up, men and women's Final Four. Carson Shear, what is going on?
What's going on, Kurt, Paul, Kenny, everybody watching? What's going on, PA in the chat? Yeah, we got a lot of good stuff planned for you guys today. We got NBA playoffs starting in a couple weeks, March Madness, Final Four this weekend. Looking forward to it.
Mr. Rosen.
Good evening,
in
gentlemen.
charge, Mr. Rosen tonight.
Oh,
in
that's right.
charge,
That's
Mr.
right. That's right. The foreman
Charles,
tonight. Foreman
Charles
Mr.
in
Rosen.
charge. Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening, everybody. It's I'm doing great. Certainly a lot better than my Mets are doing so far this season, and I think having a lot of rain in the New York, New Jersey area actually is good for us. I'm sorry, Carson, but your Tigers play a doubleheader maybe tomorrow. But doing well. Looking forward to a great show tonight.
And last but not least, the one, the only. I'm glad everybody on the panel and our watchers, the viewers last week got to know Mr. Kirkpatrick a little more. So, Mr. Kirkpatrick, final word today for opening statement.
Opening statement. Yeah, thanks everybody for joining. PA, good to see you. As always, fun show. Paul's in charge tonight, but I'm going to do something in my intro. There was some breaking news broke today. The trade that's happening between the Buffalo Bills and the Houston Texans. And the Bills are sending Stephon Diggs, star receiver, to the Houston Texans for a 5th and 6th round pick and the 2025 2nd round pick. Rapid fire question to start the show off before we get to the agenda. I'll start with Paul. Are the Texans now the biggest threat to the Chiefs in the AFC with this trade?
Biggest? They're right up there. I would say yes. They are second or third. I mean, Baltimore is still Baltimore, especially with Henry now. But let's put them right up there.
Carson, what do you think? Biggest threat now to the Chiefs, or is it still someone else?
I think they're up there. I think the Ravens are a bigger threat to the Chiefs, but yeah, the Texans, I couldn't be more happy for them.
And Kurt, wrap it up.
Real quick, couple comments. Obviously, Carson just got it. That PA Scratcher guy. Good evening, gentlemen. Always a pleasure. Our good friend Ryan Scoop Woodhams and Kenny, I'll let you talk about it in a second. Hello, old friends. And hello again, Kenny. Thank you for everything the past couple days. Mikey the Mush. By week 4, Diggs will be complaining he is a cancer, a.k.a. fraud. And Scoops is saying the 5th and 6th, the 5 and 6 go to Houston with Diggs. The 2 is the only pick going back to Buffalo. Michael Ronquillo, good evening, Kurt, Kenny, Carson, and Paul. Graham, I think Lamar Jackson is overrated. Kenny, I'm going to answer your question. I'm going to say no. They got a lot better. But as the next threat to Kansas, the first threat to Kansas City, no way. Still too young. I'm going to say no. Not as the next team, no.
Okay. It was just the reason why I brought that question up. They did get Danielle Hunter. They got Okudah, Carson's old corner. And Mixon. They did get Joe Mixon. Yeah. So they didn't just get Stephon Diggs. So that's why I brought it up. I think you guys nailed it, though. I think they will be a threat. I think the teams in the AFC South are looking up to them now, clearly looking up to them now, and that includes the Jaguars. I think the Texans are the clear-cut favorite in the AFC South, where it was close in the past few years. I think the Texans are above the rest now. Real quick, Kurt, Scoops, for those who don't know, Scoops does a show with us on Saturdays, but he will be joining the Rocky Mountain Sports Network, guys, and he's going to stick with Scoops. What's the Scoops on Saturdays as well, but Friday, 10:30, he'll be doing a Rockies podcast called What's the Score with Keith Brugman and Trevor. So wish him luck, and and like I said, he'll still be with us on Saturdays.
My question for Scoops is, I mean, what information is he going to have after next week? Because this team's bad, man. They're bad. I mean, they were saying today on Denver radio, could they be the worst team in Denver history out of all? And there's been some bad teams in Denver. but they're saying, could they? That's crazy. It's only game 4, and they're saying that already.
Have fun.
I'll let you finish up with the comments, and then we'll get to the show, Kurt. There's a couple more
All
coming
right,
in.
there's Coach Breslin. What's up, guys?
Coach.
Additional subtraction for the Bills. Good move. Cancer guys hurt the team. Mikey the Mush. The threat to KC are the taxpayers. They voted down to pay for upgrades at Arrowhead. Salt Lake City, here they come. Very shocking for that. Graham saying, give the Texans 3 to 5 years, and they'll be amazing.
I agree with that.
I agree with
real
that.
quick, Kurt, Coach Breslin, if you're there listening, Paul and I are going to throw an invite out to you to join us on one of our Giants shows, but it's going to be an NFC East preview to the draft show. So we'd like to break down the NFC East, and we'd love for you if you can join for part or all of our show for that. So we'll be doing a lot of Commanders talk and then the NFC East as well. So I'll get in touch with you, Coach, and we'll see if we can make it happen. That being said, Kurt, let's get the ball started with Paul. It's his show tonight. Right. He's in charge.
Real quick, there's our real good friend. Haven't seen him and heard from him, but hope everything's well. Mr. Jimmy Eiserman. What's up, gentlemen? Hope all is well. What's up, Jimmy?
Jimmy, what's up?
Hey,
and
Jimmy.
Coach Breslin said, sounds good. I will jump on. Absolutely.
We'll get in touch, Coach.
Wonderful.
We'll make it happen. Yeah,
so
we'll make that
happen.
happen.
Real quick, Paul. Again, congratulations to you as the winner. You are hosting everything tonight. It's your show because, and again, if somebody has it, please go back to last week. You beat Carson in a competition of You Think You Know Kenny, and there were some wild ones. So please go back last week and watch that show.
And I do remember that one scene, but I won't say it on the air. I'll say it off the air with the car crash. I do remember that.
Okay. And Mikey the Mush is asking, is Joey Clams on hiatus?
No, and Joey Clams just texted me. He wants to let everybody know to tune into Wits and Wagers because Joey's last 6 baseball picks, 6 for 6. He's 6 in a row. He's on fire. So Joey wanted me to let you guys know that.
All right.
Let's go, Joey.
Well, let me just say this. As running the show tonight, as winning the contest, my last segment will be about Larry David and Curb Your Enthusiasm, and in one of the best ever episodes of Seinfeld, there was a contest that which we can't discuss that contest on air now, but let me just say, as a good point guard like a John Stockton, I will throw out assist. So my first assist will go to Kurt, and let's start it off with his quick hitters today.
All right, Coach Breslin is saying, Carson, you gotta get Coach Breslin. Make sure he's on because Coach Breslin is now saying, "Wow, Joey, give me some ideas for the baseball games."
There's Kurt Valenti, the GM. Check out Kurt tonight at 10 p.m. doing his Broncos. He might be wearing that suit. He needs to be making some moves, his Broncos. So he's the GM Kurt there.
I'll tell you this, by the way, Eddie Sis, and you know what? Eddie Sis, this is a segue, but Eddie Sis is saying Penix is gonna be a Bronco.
Wow.
We shall see.
Real quick, one more comment from Scoops. Lengthy rain delay for the Orioles today, and team is responding by giving free ticket vouchers to all fans who had game tickets, whether or not they actually stayed. Love that from Kenny's baseball team. Kenny, real quick, 30 seconds. What's your thoughts on that?
He's saying B team. I think he's saying B team.
Oh,
I was just watching the game. It's still on now. They're losing 3-0 to the Orioles. The Orioles pitcher, Scoops, if you're out there listening, I don't have it in front of me. He's pitching a one-hitter. 5.5 hour rain delay. That's how long it was. So,
but do you like the idea of giving the free
Absolutely.
tickets today or not? Okay,
absolutely. To sit there 5.5 hours, the Mets could have done it today.
Yeah,
but they chose.
Well, yesterday they waited 3.5 hours and they finally called a game.
They could have played a doubleheader. I'm sorry, Paul. They could have played a doubleheader tomorrow, but 5.5. They better have given something to the fans. Sorry,
okay.
Paul.
All right.
There we go with the quick hitters. We're going to start it off, and you guys took my first one, but that's okay. I'll ask rapid fire. I'm going to go Carson, Paul, Kenny. Diggs to the Texans. I'm going to say it this way. Are they a Super Bowl contender this year, Carson?
Super Bowl, yeah.
Paul.
I could see, yes.
Kenny?
I'll give them middle of the pack, yes, with the other moves, Kurt.
Okay. Question 2. Two-parter. Should Jalen Brunson, Carson, be top 3 in the MVP votes?
He should be up there. Yeah, I'm gonna say yes.
Okay. Will he?
No.
Paul?
Should be.
Will he?
Will he? No. Should be. Yes.
Kenny?
The easy way, Kurt, yes, he deserves to be. Meaning of MVP, look it up, but he won't be.
Okay. Our good friend David Burns saying, watching from Cedar Hill, Texas. What's
What's up, David? How
Nice,
you doing?
David?
This is a question kind of that Mikey the Mush might like. Carson, who's going to have a better playoff run? New York Rangers, New York Knicks?
Wow.
Mm.
That's a really good question. Wow. I'm gonna say the Rangers, but it's very, very close.
Paul?
Oh, I'm going to say the Rangers. They have been the best team in the NHL all season and probably will have home ice advantage throughout the playoffs if they get that far. So I'm going to say the Rangers.
There's Mikey the Mush saying Rangers. We want the cup. Kenny?
Rangers, but it can change tomorrow, Kurt, if the one of the two guys come back, Randall or Anunoby.
All right. Not rumor, it's just a fact that the women's Final Four, I think like sold 3 times the tickets to the men's Final Four. Carson, are you surprised at that?
No. Well, yes, I am, but I'm also not because of the names in women's college sports right now. So I think it's great for women's sports overall. So yes, I'm surprised, but like in a good way, though.
Paul?
No, and I don't want to get into the weeds of it, but they've gotten ratings better than NBA games, baseball games. I mean, it's been the greatest ratings that college basketball, men or women's, have gotten ever.
All right. And Mikey the Mush, please, if you're still watching, please stay on for that. You have to see the final question. You're going to get a kick of it. So I just want you to see that. Please stay on. And Kenny, shocked or no?
Not really, Kurt, because of the Caitlin Clark, the undefeated South Carolina, and you got UConn. They're not.
Yep.
They're the third team. They're overlooked by the other two. So
Mhm.
no, I'm not shocked.
All right.
Because of the other storylines.
2-part question. If you answer question A, yes, you get a second part. If you don't, then it's no big deal. But you're not going to get ask the second part. Carson, will you be watching WrestleMania this weekend?
No.
Okay, so I can't go second question for you. Paul, will you go watch WrestleMania this weekend?
No.
Kenny, I mean, don't leave me stranded here, man.
Just to hear Kurt's second part of the question, I'll say yes, but I won't watch it live, but I will watch it. I will watch it later on.
All right, we turn the belt. Good evening, guys. Albert Knoppers, hello, folks.
Hey, Albert.
Knicks may end up with the second best record in the East. MVP for Brunson. Mikey the Mush says Kurt will be watching on the Fire Stick. So, Kenny, if you're watching, does Cody Rhodes win the Universal Championship?
Yes.
All right. And last question. Well, second to last question. I'm sorry. Second last question. Last question. Carson, in a playoff series for the NBA, would you rather have A, the best player on the floor, or B, a way more dominant bench? In a playoff series, what would you rather have?
Wow. I'm going to say the best player on the floor just because the NBA is so star-driven. I think it's the most star-driven league out of all the pro sports. So I'm going to say the best player on the floor.
All right. David Burns. Yes, I will be watching WrestleMania. Those matches are going to be really good. Absolutely. Michael Ronquillo, NC State men's and women are in the Final Four. NC State and UConn.
Mhm.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Paul.
Great question, Kurt. Number one. Number two, I'm going to agree with Carson. It's such a driven league with stars, so I'm going to say superstar.
Michael Ronquillo. Yes, I'm going to watch WWE WrestleMania 40 because I'm a WWE fan. See, Kenny, we got to talk to Michael.
Well, we're going to talk. We want to work. We want to get a wrestling type of show going. So, if anybody's interested in, we'll get in touch with us and we'll make it happen.
And Kenny, last one for you.
going to be different than Carson and Paul. Give me the dominant bench because they both there's so many stars in the league. So if you have the best star, the other stars are close. Whereas you got the dominant bench over the other bench. I think if you keep it close when the star is in the game, when he gets that break, your dominant bench takes over, and I'd rather have that in a playoff series.
All right. So my last question, and we'll bump up. We'll put a little visual up on here. Again, if you guys do not know, and again, this is something. Listen, I don't know much besides sports, but I do know working in a school and hearing some stuff that I believe Monday there's going to be a solar eclipse, right?
Yep.
So there's going to be a solar eclipse. So what happens for Mr. Kirkpatrick if he looks into the solar eclipse, right? We need to know what's going to happen. So, part A, yeah, Coach Breslin saying, is that the eclipse? That is the eclipse. And part A is, if Mr. Kirkpatrick happens to look directly, if he puts those glasses on, directly into that eclipse on Monday afternoon, which one of these four will he see? Will it be A? Will it be the girl of his dreams in a Yankee jersey? Will it be B? Will it be dollar sign? Kenny thinking parlays of FanDuel and trifectas at the racetrack? Will it be C? Mr. Kirkpatrick is a huge Turkey Hill iced tea person. So will he see iced tea and iced tea? Or will it be 4? Will it be Mr. Siciliano?
Oh, man.
Which one will it be?
Oh, man. Now you can I got to throw Sis up there. He'll see Sis.
No, which one would you hope that he saw?
As much as that site right now is eye-opening to me, I'm gonna do the best, and I'm gonna hope that he sees the girl of his dreams.
And Mr. Kirkpatrick, which one? This could be a look that you can have. But which one would you?
Kind of looks like me underneath those glasses.
Yeah.
Which one would you want to say?
Well, for those who don't know, Sis and I are roommates, so I see Sis every day. So there's probably a time where I saw Sis in that outfit. So I don't need to see that the solar eclipse. It's got to be the girl in the Yankee uniform.
There you go.
But Turkey holds a close second.
Coach Clemens saying, Kurt, you have really pissed off Sis now. I am going for 1. He's saying 1 also. And the Mush is saying Eddie Sis, a.k.a. Moneyline Eddie.
Oh, PA Scratcher's got the line of the night, Kurt.
Yes, Turkey Hill iced tea. I can even get it fresh from Lancaster County.
Let's go.
A couple wrestling comments. David Burge, Judgment Day needs to lose those tag team titles belts. Yes, they've been tons. He's a huge fan also of Logan Paul. Logan Paul retaining the WWE United States Championship over Kevin Owens. That PA Scratcher guy, I don't really have time for streaming, but imagine laying the smack down with Scratcher. I like that. And David saying Cody Rhodes for the championship.
Nice.
So I hope you guys like the rapid fire.
Great. You're outdoing yourself, Kurt.
Nice, Kurt.
Excellent.
At least somebody else made it to the screen this week.
That's true. All right. Well, let's go backdoor with the pass to Kenny, and he's going to talk about March Madness.
Yeah,
Kenny,
I'm going to stick with the women's. We haven't talked much in the women's March Madness. So there's March Madness. So Carson's Corner, he's going to do some men's and women's for us. So I got a couple little Q&A for you guys about the women's Final Four. Caitlin Clark up there, Paige Buchers, the NC State women, another great story, just like the men. And, of course, Dawn Staley's undefeated South Carolina's Gamecocks. So I got a couple questions. I'll start with Paul. This is how it's on my screen. Paul, Carson, Kurt. First one, Paul, in quick hitter style, 30 seconds or less. So we'll do it like that. Does Iowa, Paul, my first question, does Iowa have to win the championship for Caitlin Clark to be considered and worth mentioning to be the best or greatest ever to play women's basketball?
Yeah, women's or ever. in men and women's.
Women's. We're going to stick with
Women's.
women's.
No, they don't have to win. Would it help her? Absolutely. But I think right now she's reached the plateau where she may be considered right now the greatest women's college basketball player of all time.
Okay. Carson, do you agree with Paul, or does she have to win a championship to solidify herself as greatest ever?
Yeah, I agree with Paul. I mean, let's be honest. The reason why people are watching is just to see that girl play basketball, Caitlin Clark. So she's already cemented her legacy by itself.
And Kurt.
Because comments are coming in. Mikey the Mush, Brianna Stewart is the best ever. And Coach Breslin, no, she is not going to be considered. Too many others have won 2, 3, and 4 championships. It's tough, right? Because maybe as the single talent, I'm going to say yes as the single talent. But again, we go by career, right? We talk about that all the time. And what Coach is talking about, when you got somebody with 2, 3, and 4, I mean, you know, how do you argue with that? But I'm going to say just as talent alone, I'm going to say yes.
I like that there was a no in there, because this is going to be my second question. Could and should Caitlin Clark, Paul, come back to Iowa next year, even though she's said she's leaving? If Iowa doesn't win the championship this year, could and should she come back next year with NIL and all this other stuff going on? Could we see her come back next year?
Listen, there have been college players, both men and women, have changed their minds. Would it shock anybody if she decided, you know what, I've got an offer to stay in school? It's great to be on a college campus, isn't it, Carson? So would it surprise anybody if she decided, I'm going to take a graduate year and come back? No.
Carson.
Yeah, same with Paul. I wouldn't be shocked if she said, no, I'm going to stay back with Iowa. I mean, you look at all these college athletes right now. They know they can – their prime is when they're 4 years in college, because they know they can make more money, because when they go pro, they're going to be barely, drafted. In her case, she's going to be the first pick. But most of these college players, they want to stay in college as long as possible, because they know they can make more in college than they can in the pros. So I wouldn't be shocked. But yeah, I think if she really wants a national championship, they come up short, that she could come back. I would not be surprised.
Awesome. Kurt.
I'm going to read a couple comments real quick. Okay, Kenny?
I see a bunch coming in.
Right.
Absolutely.
Jody Moncrief, part of the Denver Bronco roundup, and I'll get to them in a second. Clark, $3.5 million NIL, WNBA about $250,000 a year. Keith Brugman, Denver Bronco roundup, and again, they do an unbelievable Bronco show. Keith, Trevor, Albert, and of course Jody. Kenny, I know you were on with them last night. It was an awesome show. Denver Bronco roundup. He's saying, gentlemen, good evening. Does Caitlin Clark's popularity translate to the NBA in regards to viewership? Well, I'm going to throw this one back at Carson, because I think if it doesn't happen with Caitlin Clark, it's never going to happen, because everyone's watching. They showed the highest rated game the other day against LSU, right? I mean, everyone's wearing Caitlin Clark jerseys. Jen had a former student in her old school, like saying they went to the Final Four. The little girls wearing Caitlin Clark jerseys. So, Carson, I think, am I crazy? If it don't happen for the WNBA with Caitlin Clark, it's just never going to happen.
Yeah, 100%. She's been the biggest star in the history of women's basketball by far.
A couple more comments. Coach Breslin, she has made the game more popular for people to watch. Yes, she is the best offensive player ever. Mikey the Mush, every sport always refers back to the rings for the greatest players. Jody saying UConn had loaded teams. What does Clark have? Coach Breslin, she could probably make more money in college, LOL. There's Mr. Calderio. Hello, gentlemen. What is up? Crappy weather this week. Oh, terrible weather. Keith is saying, yes, she does need to sign with the WNBA. She will play good with either New York Liberty, Chicago Sky, the Mercury, or the Las Vegas Aces. Kenny, you know what? I don't know. I mean, I really don't know if she would go back. I mean, she's going to be number one. She's going to be the face of the WNBA as soon as draft night, as soon as she gets drafted. So I'm going to say she's not She did make the Final Four again. Listen, there's no guarantee. Even if she does go back, they're probably not going to be the favorites to win it next year, right? Because South Carolina is always loaded. Paige Beckers is going back already to UConn. He'll be loaded. So this might be their best team. So I'm going to say she doesn't go back. I mean, I wouldn't be stunned, like I think Carson and Paul both said, but I'm going to say she doesn't.
That was David, by the way, responding to Keith. But I'm gonna say if they don't win the Final Four and I got a question with UConn coming up. They lose to UConn. She may want to go back next year because of this NIL. And Jody saying she can make $3.5 million in college as to $250 in the WNBA. Wait another year, start the new rivalry with Paige Beckers. And continue next year and get that ring, because you don't get a ring this year. Like Coach Breslin saying, the greatest have 2 or 3 rings. She goes and doesn't have 1 ring. There may be, the asterisk on is she greatest ever in the, come 10, 15 years from now. So she may really want to get that ring if she doesn't get it this year. Moving on, I got 2 more. Speaking of Paige Beckers and UConn, are you shocked that they're in the Final Four? I'm not. But here's my question, and I'll switch the order. I'll go Carson, Paul, Kurt this time. I'll let Kurt go last so he can read the comments. Is UConn, Carson, and Paige Beckers being overlooked in this tournament, or whatever you want to say, because of Caitlin Clark? Like, you don't even hear UConn's name mentioned, and Paige Beckers is arguably the best player in some people's minds in women's basketball today. So what are your thoughts on UConn? Are they being overlooked here?
Yeah, I think 100% they are. Like you said, Kenny, it's this one person and it's a team game. And, Gino Uriema, I can't pronounce his name, but he's arguably on the Mount Rushmore for greatest women's basketball coaches ever. And so I think definitely UConn's being overlooked.
Yeah, that's a great point, Carson. And let's go to Paul, and then I'll go to Kurt.
Yeah. Listen, Gino's been there, done that more than almost any other women's basketball, college basketball coach. If you don't think he's going to have his team ready for her, they are going to be up more than almost any other time in their past few years. They're going to make sure she's going to work for every single point, and they're going to play the underdog role, which is such a different role that UConn plays with an undefeated team and with Caitlin Clark. So yeah, they're going to be sort of a sleeping giant, so to speak.
Great point. Kurt, I'll get you in the audience, and then I got one more final question for everybody.
All right. Yeah, they're definitely an underdog, but you know what, too, with I think that you have to look at Iowa. And again, I'm not going to say Caitlin Clark's going to do it because I think she's a special talent, but the focus and the motivation they had to get by LSU, right? Like, you're not going to go to a Final Four and say it's a letdown, but just how jacked up they were for that game, right? Like, to beat LSU, payback from last year, the whole Reese and Caitlin Clark thing. And, now you got UConn, right? I mean, I think they're both great teams. I mean, remember, UConn was still, I think UConn lost another one of their point guards, or the other girl they lost somebody for the rest of the season, out for the season too. But I mean, they're UConn, like they're getting the best recruits in the country there. So, it's not, poor little UConn this week. They've got 5-star recruits all over on that court. So, but they are getting overlooked. And you know what? They might like that. Hey, for a chance, listen, they're the underdogs. It's different when you're approaching it as, we're the one with no respect. We're the other underdogs, as opposed to we got the, bullseye on our chest, like they don't now. So it's going to help UConn.
I couldn't agree more, Kurt. I couldn't agree more.
Can I get a couple comments?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Paul, real quick from Keith. I know we spoke about this, but we could answer it after seeing her another week. Can Caitlin Clark compete in the NBA?
Yeah, we spoke about that the other day. The way the NBA is structured now, with 3 points and shooting all over the place, and having guards being such a dominant force, I would say absolutely. She can definitely play in the NBA.
Jody's saying money alone, she has to come back. Then Jody's saying Gino has, you ready for this? 11 rings and 22 Final Fours.
Yeah.
Absurd. Coach President, yes, they are. I think Gino will have a good plan. Try not to let her beat you. Take it out of her hands as much as she can.
That's great. And this is my last question. I'll start with Carson again. Rapid fire. So I want to get to Carson. He's got great March Madness coming up for his Carson's Corner. My last one, Carson, if you were starting a basketball team at any level, a girls' team, it could be middle school, high school, college. If you were starting a girls' basketball team, would you want Gino Auriemma or Dawn Staley as your head coach, if you could choose one of those two?
Wow. I'd probably say Gino.
Okay. Paul.
Yeah, I would say Gino.
Kurt.
I'm going to say Gino. And I read this story. I'll say this real quick, guys, but I'll never forget. I read a story about when he recruited Diana. What's her name? What was her name? Diana
Taurasi.
Diana Taurasi. I read it in a Sports Illustrated magazine. He said the mother, Taurasi's mother, had Gino come into the house for the home recruit and all that stuff and whatever. So he said she made all this kind of dinner. Like she was like, oh, he's coming, clean the house and all excited. She said he got into the house. He said he went right to Taurasi's mother and said, I'm going to ask you one question. Do you want your daughter to be the best player on the best team in America? She said, yes. He said, then have her sign with me and UConn. And he walked out of the house. He said, that was the thing. Oh, like no dinner. That's it. And you know what? The call came and the rest was history. Like that's a recruiting pitch. So I'm taking Gino. Hell yeah.
I like it. I'm going to answer it this way. And there's no wrong answer here. If I was starting a middle school or a high school team, I think I would go Dawn Staley. I think a lot of younger girls would want to play for her. But college, I'm taking Gino. I know. Look at Keith. I like Keith's comment there, Kurt.
Yep. He's saying
rest in peace.
I would take Pat Summitt, rest in peace. Coach Carson, go back to you. Jody's asking, could Gino coach in the men's NCAA?
I think he could for sure.
Mikey the Mush saying Caitlin Clark will not be stepping below that free throw line ever.
Yes.
And then Jody saying definitely not Kim Mulkey. So
Yeah.
No, but great interaction, audience. I thought it was rightfully so. We haven't talked much about the women's and recognized them, so I thought it was a good opportunity to recognize the women's there with a little segment. So thank you, everybody, for the interaction there. I'm going to pass it back to Paul because I think we're going to go to Carson and get some more NCAA in.
Great segment, Kenny.
Nice,
Excellent with the women's coverage. So yeah, I'm going to pass the ball deep in to the center position with Carson and let him use his sky hook and give us the men's March Madness section.
Nice. Thanks, Paul. Yeah, so we'll stick with college basketball. Obviously, men's and women's Final Four this weekend. I believe the women's start on Friday. So the Final Four obviously is set. Again, it's really cool that NC State and UConn, like Kurt said, somebody said in the chat, both men and women's programs are in the Final Four. I believe South Carolina did that a few years ago as well. So it's cool to see that. Their campus must be going nuts. But we'll start with the women since we're already on the women's. So I want your guys' predictions and who you think is going to cut down the nets at the end of the tournament. So you got UConn, you got Iowa. Let me know a straight up winner for the first. I'm sorry, this is the second game of the first round in the Final Four, but we'll stick with the UConn Iowa. Iowa's 2.5-point favorite. We'll do rapid fire. Who wins the game? Kenny.
I'm going to go UConn, Carson. I think Paige Beckers is going to have a lot to say in this game, and I think UConn's going to get it done. Deeper team, deeper
Nice.
all-around team.
Paul.
I'm going to go with Iowa.
Kurt.
I think the winner of this game, Carson, wins the national championship. But I'm going to take Caitlin Clark. I just think she's the best. Going to be the best player on that field, and she's going to will that. She's going to will that team to victory. So I'll take Iowa.
Nice. Yeah, I'm rooting for Iowa. I'm with Kenny. I think, UConn, again, all the attention's on Iowa, but I think UConn complete team overall. I'll go with UConn.
Carson, Mikey the Mush is saying Beckers was hurt last year. She is on a mission.
Yeah.
Well,
UConn, they're being overlooked, man. They're hungry, and they got arguably the greatest women's college coach ever. So for sure. The other game, NC State and South Carolina. South Carolina, heavy favorite, 11.5 points. Is anybody taking NC State?
No, but I'm going to say
No.
closer than people think.
Okay. Yeah. So we all got South Carolina. So hypothetically, it'd be South Carolina, and then some of you guys said Iowa, some of you guys said UConn. Who is cutting down the nets and is winning the women's tournament? Kenny.
Well, give another one to Gino. I think Paige Beckers gets it done on that mission. I'm going UConn as the underdog story.
Paul.
I think we had the question last week, who's going to lose first, South Carolina women's or UConn men? So I'm going to say South Carolina women, and Iowa's going to cut down the nets and be national champions.
Nice. Kurt.
I'm with Paul. I think the same thing. I think Iowa gets South Carolina, and I think Caitlin Clark goes out as a national champion.
Nice. Yeah, I hope she does. I'm rooting for Caitlin Clark. I'm going to go with UConn. Again, I think this team is being overlooked, and best coach, deeper team. I think they're being overlooked. So UConn, like you said, Kurt, winner of that game, I think wins it all. So that is the women's. We'll get to the men. Four final four teams. Again, shout out to everybody that was in the Ticket Time K&K bracket prize pool. We'll keep you guys updated with the standings after these couple games are over this weekend. So NC State and Purdue is the first one. This is on Saturday at 6:09 on TBS. Purdue is a 8.5 point favorite against NC State. I'm going to go with Kurt first.
This is tough, man, because you know what? Purdue showed me a lot on Sunday. They were down by, I think it was 9 or 11. And I was like, here we go again. And you know what? Edie just took over, man. So it's going to be fascinating, right? You're going to have the 7-4 guy against, a guy that can be playing in the NFL one day. Like they're saying, the scouts want this guy.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's tough, man, because NC State's just got that aura of they can't lose, but I still think Purdue's the better team. And listen, if Purdue, Carson, we always talk about it all the time, but if they hit their threes, they're going to win the game because you can't guard this guy one-on-one. So I am going to say Purdue.
Paul.
I'm going to say Purdue, but couldn't you see DJ Burns Jr. playing alongside Dexter Lawrence on the Giants defensive line? I mean, this guy, yeah, exactly. You got to love this guy. I mean, regardless of whether they win or lose, he's unbelievable. But yeah, Edie dominated. I thought I was watching Bill Walton esque on Sunday, but I think Purdue's going to unfortunately end North Carolina State's joyride.
Kenny.
I don't know the coach's name for NC State off the top of my head. If any of you guys do, let me know. But the coach, he's a very smart guy. Unbelievable run. I think the game plan, Carson, has to be first half, keep the game close. Burns, I don't even care if you're covering Edie in the first half. Let Edie get his points in the first half. I need you with not in foul trouble. Second half, we pour it on him and we get physical with him in the second half because you haven't seen that with Edie all tournament. He's just been having his way. I don't want Burns in foul trouble early in this game because it'll be over by halftime. Get Burns away from Edie. Second half, keep the game close. Second half, NC State can pull off the upset. I think Purdue wins, but I think NC State will cover the spread for the Wits and Wagers fans out there.
Nice. Yeah, I'm with you, Kenny. I think NC State is going to cover, and they might win this game. I'm going to take Purdue, though, but I would not be shocked. I'm rooting for NC State. Realistically, though, I think Purdue wins. Second game, Bama versus UConn. UConn just been absolutely unbelievable this year. Bama, hell of a season as well, getting to the Final Four as a 4 seed. UConn, 11.5 point favorite. Is anybody taking Alabama over UConn?
No,
No.
they're a machine.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been watching basketball close to 60 years, and I'll tell you, that 30 zip run
Yeah.
the other night was unbelievable. Unbelievable. And I don't think I've ever seen anything like that, pro or college
I'll
basketball.
tell you this though, Carson. If you like 3-pointers, Alabama's the team to. They might shoot close to 50 3-pointers.
Yeah.
I mean, they put up over 30.3-pointers every game, and their point guard Sears. And I think I told you guys a couple weeks ago, he's a
Mhm.
baby
You
version
did.
of Jalen Brunson, man.
Yeah.
I mean, watch him. He's lefty. He looks just like Brunson on the court. So, I think UConn's going to win. But this could, listen, if this team hits 20 or 25 threes, you never know. But I just think that the difference of the physicality, I think Carson's going to get them. I just think they're too bigger for them. Like I think they're going to wear them down.
Nice. Yeah, I agree with you guys. So it sounds like we're all saying Purdue versus UConn in the national championship. Who cuts down the nets? Paul.
Been going with UConn the whole time, but I'll tell you, if it's Purdue and UConn, Edie and Klingon, I mean, that's going to be an unbelievable matchup, as obviously the rest of the two teams. But that's going to be a Godzilla versus Kong type of matchup. But I think UConn's going to cut down the nets and go back to back.
Kenny.
I gotta go UConn, but Purdue gets there. Kurt, do you take Painter off your list, or does he have to win it?
By the way, Scoop is saying Kevin Keats is the NC
That's
State
it.
coach.
Yep. Thank you, Scoops. I think he's going to have that game plan for Burns. Stay out of foul trouble. That's our chance of winning this game.
Kurt, national champ.
I'm going to take UConn, but you know what? UConn's perimeter guys are going to have to win that game because they've been going into Klingon, and you're not going to have that versus Edie. So it's going to be a battle of whose perimeter game wins. But I still think it's UConn. I think it'll be UConn. Couple of comments, Carson, real quick. Our good friend Eddie Murphy. Iowa women with the upset in the finals. Clark with 45 to lead the way. Scoop said he had a rewind to catch up on some of the earlier shows. Paul Seinfeld reference was great. And then he's saying, Mikey the Mush is saying, I hear Jimmy V screaming, go Pack, go.
Jimmy V.
Tell Scoops to hang out for the rest of the show, and he'll like what I'm going to do.
Okay.
The last segment.
I got two quick rapid fires for you guys. So if UConn does repeat as national champions, is Dan Hurley on the Mount Rushmore for greatest college basketball coaches ever? Kurt, yes or no?
No.
Paul.
No.
Kenny.
Too soon. No.
Gotcha. And then the second one I have for you guys is, what Final Four are you more interested in? Are you interested more in the women's? Or are you interested more in the men's? Kurt.
Well, my pocketbook is in the men's because I got UConn on I got UConn to win the national title. I took that early. Mush is saying no way and not yet for the Mount Rushmore. But I will say the pocketbook, the men's. To watch the games, though, the women. It's going to be, listen, that's UConn. Come on. I mean, like you're saying, Carson, UConn, Paige Beckers versus Caitlin Clark. You got undefeated South Carolina. I'm more interested in that, which is, it's all both, but that one.
Paul, women's or men's, what are you more interested in?
Yeah, I mean, as much as I'm interested in the men, that women's final, if it's Iowa against South Carolina, it's Patriots, Giants, undefeated, one team. Can they stay undefeated and win the championship, or are they going to be defeated? So I would say women's.
Kenny.
Close, but I'm going women's over men as well. Very close, though. Maybe change my mind seeing who the championship games are, but we'll see.
Nice.
Now here's a question. Kenny, agree or disagree with Mush? Because this is what we're going to get a lot of, I think, going forward. Okay? And he's talking about Danny Hurley, the question that Carson asked. Let him take an average team with no transfers to the Final Four. See, now this is he's got a great point here, Kenny, because this is a lot of stuff we're going to see, like going back, like teams, coaches weren't able to do that. Now coaches are able to pick this guy, pick that. So is that going forward, Kenny? Is that going to matter when you start talking about greatest ever and Mount Rushmores and stuff like that? Because Mush makes a great point.
It does, because you talk about the greatest ever. They didn't have the transfers. They had their recruits, their players, and that was it. So I think it does make a difference, because 5 more guys can go to UConn next year, 5-star recruits, and transfer. And there's Danny Hurley getting the recruits again in the transfer portal. So I do think it makes a difference.
David Burns, whoever said go Pack go, so glad they beat the Cowboys in the playoffs. And Keith Rugman, I'm going to start this one with Carson. I'm going to ask this as a basketball, but tough on the spot question. I'll start it first. I'm going 1990 UNLV Rebels. Carson, greatest NCAA championship team ever. I'm going UNLV 1990 with the Tark.
I'm going to say Jenny Hoops is going to I'm going to say 2 teams. One of them is Virginia Cavaliers when they won after they got upset 16 seed. Next year, they went all the way back, won it all. I think that's insane to do. And then the other one is Kemba Walker's UConn team.
Okay. The Mush is saying Dean Smith recruited and 90% of his players graduated with degrees. Paul, greatest team you've ever seen.
One of 2 teams, either the Lou Alcindor or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar UCLA team, or the Bill Walton UCLA team that won 88 straight games and won the NCAAs. I think he had 44 points that championship game.
Carson, coming back to you from Eddie, is Bronny?
He's making fun of Bronny.
Yeah, but I'm saying, I guess, did he flop? I guess, is he saying, or is it a big deal that he entered the portal? I guess he's not going pro now, is he?
No, he was projected late second round if he was lucky. Big deal. Yeah, I'll say big deal. I think prediction, Eddie, I think he's going to go to Ohio State. So I think yeah, sure, why not? He'll be the biggest talk in college basketball this offseason. So I'll say yeah.
Kenny, your question, your best team you've ever seen.
I would agree with you with UNLV, but I'll go 1 year earlier if I had to throw somebody else in there. The Michigan '89 team was pretty damn good.
Fab 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fab 5, yeah. But UNLV would have been my top choice, Kurt.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. Carson, want to switch over to baseball real quick, and then we got Paul to wrap the show up, I believe.
Sure.
Oh, Jody's got a good one. That loaded Florida team, back-to-back champs. Noah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? Led by Noah.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. So yeah, we'll switch gears to baseball. We'll just do baseball, and then we'll get back to Paul's final thoughts for his segment. But surprise and disappointing teams to start the season. We're about a week in roughly to baseball season. So give me a team that kind of caught you off surprise in a good way, and a team that caught you off guard in a bad, disappointing way. I'll say right now the Houston Astros 1-5 to start the season. They're loaded. They're supposed to be, I think, top 3 in the odds for the World Series, and 1-5 to start the season. So not a good look for them. And then surprise, I'll say the Pirates 5-0 to start the year. Something's going on in Pittsburgh. So I'll say Pirates are the surprise for me. So give me a surprise team, good way, and a bad way. Kurt.
I need 30 seconds for the surprise, Carson, and I hope
Okay.
Jody and Keith are listening, because I bashed the New York Yankees, but I'm not going to bash them now. And I'll tell you this right now. There's a new leader on that team. This is Juan Soto's team. Scoops can sit there and throw something against the wall. Don't even compare the players. And this is why I said you need that player. Kenny, you went into Houston opening day. And when you would go into Houston with opening day, you used to have Aaron Judge, remember Coach Klein in the Water Boy, where he was scared to see the coach? Here's not Juan Soto. He's doing this. Let's go, get on my back. And that guy delivered. He's the best player on the Yankees. He's the leader on the Yankees. And that is why the Yankees have a chance to win a championship, because Juan Soto is a Yankee. And that's what you do. You're a great player. He's your best player on the team. He's the leader on the team. And with him, you have a shot. The Yankees.
Nice. Give me a disappointing team. Kurt.
Disappointing. I'm going at Paul's team, the Mets. You know what? One hit, I'm sorry. You know what? That's BS. Pete Alonso wants $500 million. You know what? I've always backed Steve Cohen, but I'm telling you right now, that party's over. You know, Diaz looked good, but you can't have that garbage. I'm telling you right now. I want this money. He's singing with the country singer. Let's go. You better start doing something, Mr. Alonso, because that is not a good performance. What was his name? McNeil, all these guys. Not good. Paul, I don't know if you agree or disagree with me, but you better start shaping up because you know what? If you start losing, buy, and buy because that's pitiful. Pitiful start. Pitiful.
Nice. Thanks, Kurt. Paul, give me a surprise and disappointing team to start.
Maybe we should have had Kurt on our New York show. Anyway, listen, I can't disagree with what he's saying. I mean, I had my Mets on disappointing, but I think he bashed them enough. I don't need to second that.
Wait, am I wrong? I'm not wrong.
No. Listen, you're not wrong. Do I think they should? I thought they would be 0-4 right now. Absolutely not. But like someone said, if it was in the middle of the season and they lost 4 in a row, it wouldn't be such a big deal. But no, they've played horribly. They've pitched badly. They have had no clutch hits whatsoever. Their fielding has been awful. Every aspect that they've played so far. But I'll go with the Marlins. The Marlins were expected to do better, and they're as bad as the Mets have been. The Marlins are 0-6 and haven't won a game, and they've blown a couple of late games in the 8th and 9th inning. So just to be diverse, I'll say disappointing so far has been the Marlins. My surprise team, hey, I'll go right back to the Motown and give Carson's Detroit Tigers
Nice.
a big attaboy. I mean, they're 4-0. I'm like I said earlier in the show, I'm glad it's been raining, so the Mets may not have to play them another 2 games. But hey, 4-0. They have a good nucleus of young players, and they're playing well so far. And they've also come back in a couple of games. So my surprise may not be a surprise is the Tigers of Detroit.
Nice.
Carson, real quick, I want to get a couple of comments from Eddie. MLB should just give Tigers the sweep over the Mets, LOL. Jody saying hater blowing last night's game. Mikey the Mush, Kenny just said Orioles just walked it off.
Impressive. Good for the fans that stayed those 7 hours and got free tickets and get to see a walk-off. Good for them.
The Mush is also saying Judge is a $400 million joke. I like that one, Mush.
Yep.
Keith Brugman, Carson was on that one last week.
Mm-hmm.
Keith Brugman saying my Angels started off ice cold and now they are red hot. Question: who are my Angels?
Who are his Angels? A team that maybe can surprise this year. We'll see. That's only 1 week in, but I think they're going to be like a 500 team. But who says they can't win 85 to 88 games with Mike Trout healthy if he's healthy all year? So we'll see, Keith.
Kenny, surprise and disappointing team.
Yeah, I mean, everybody nailed the surprises. Tigers stole my thunder there, Paul.
Sorry.
Yankees, how can you not call them a surprise? You know, sweeping the Astros. I'll throw a team out there, and I hate to do it, but looking at standings, got to throw the Red Sox in there. I know 3 of those games were against Oakland, but they're 5-2 and a 4-game win streak. And they were supposed to be rebuilding and, not in any contention. Again, we're only 1 week in, but they've been on the road as well, and they're 5-2 on the road. As for disappointment, top of the list has got to be the Mets. Mets have got to be on that list. The Astros have got to be close, if a close second. And the only reason they're a close second is because they had that one hitter the day after the Yankees swept them. Otherwise, they'd be on top of the list. So those are my 2 disappointments.
Nice.
All
Whoever
right.
did the graphic did a good job because my Tigers are right.
Yeah, I gotta put that right in the middle there for Carson.
Guys,
Nice.
real
Yeah.
quick hitters. I'm gonna go Carson, Paul, Kenny. Couple of them going on. Carson, yes or no? Mike Trout will be traded this year. Mikey the Mush is saying it. Yes or no?
Wow. I hope he is. That would help my MVP bet. So, yeah, I hope so.
Paul, yes or no?
Obviously depends on how the Angels are doing, but I'll say yes.
Kenny.
I'm thinking he's going to get traded too if the Angels are out of it. And it might be to a team like Carson's Tigers. I'm just saying.
That would be
You know.
insane. I would go absolutely insane if that happened.
And second one, Carson, Jody's saying the Rockies will lose 110 games this year. Yes or no?
Gosh. Wow. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. 110 games. That's that. You got to be pretty bad to lose over 100 games in baseball. So maybe we'll see, but I hope not, Jody, because you're a Rocky fan. So we'll see. But that's my thoughts, guys. Good job.
No, Jody's actually the Astro fan, but he lives out there in the Rockies. Yeah.
Well, what do you think?
That's the Rocky guys.
That's a lot of games to lose, but I'll tell you, you play out west with those teams and then playing them. I know it's a balanced schedule, but it's possible that they may lose well over 100 games.
And Kenny.
Yeah, they're going to lose over 100. They can't win on the road.
Guys, we got the comment of the night. And Kenny and Paul, you guys doing New York this week? Baseball
Yes.
stuff?
Yes, we are.
Paul, comment of the week, and you have to do it, I think. Eddie is saying, when you all talk baseball, Paul should wear a paper bag over his head.
With the tears running down.
Oh my God. I love you. I love you, Eddie. I love you. Maybe I'll do that. We'll see.
Right.
We'll see. I'll think about it.
Awesome.
All right.
Back to you, Carson. Oh, you good, Carson?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, good job, guys.
All right.
Thank you, Carson.
All right, Kurt, we got one
All
more
right.
segment, so we'll let Paul take over.
Yep.
We'll probably be done in about 10 minutes, I would say.
Yeah.
So we're going to go a couple minutes overtime tonight.
All right. So,
Here's my graphic for
all
Paul.
right. As a big Seinfeld fan, of course, Seinfeld was created by Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David, who then segued out, and for the last 12 seasons has done his own show, Curb Your Enthusiasm. And Larry, aside from being a curmudgeon on the show, is also a huge sports fan. Actually, Larry in real life grew up a Yankee, Jets, Knicks, huge Knicks and huge Ranger fan. So my questions are involving from Curb Your Enthusiasm. If some of you guys out there have watched the show, some sports related themes that he's had in some of the episodes. So my first question actually is sort of a Joey Clams kind of question to you guys. Who's a better manager, Larry David's manager, Jeff, or Yankees manager, Aaron Boone? I'll go Kenny, Carson, Kurt.
I never watched Curb Your Enthusiasm, but you know how I feel about Aaron Boone, so it's got to be Larry David's manager, Jeff.
Carson.
Yeah, I'll say Larry David.
And Kurt.
I don't know Jeff. I don't know. I luckily know Larry David, but I'm not picking Aaron Boone against anybody, so I'll take Jeff.
But before we continue, Paul, that picture, you're in the Tampa Bay Lightning executive suite there. Look at that picture.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you. Yep. Nice. So we talked about wrestling earlier. In a tag team steel cage match, who would win? Larry David and his friend Leon, or Jerry Seinfeld and Kramer? Kenny?
I'll go Larry David and Leon.
All right, Carson?
Wow, you threw Kramer in there. I think Kramer could take him by himself. I'll say Kramer and Seinfeld.
Kurt?
Yeah, I'm going with Kramer. Kramer's like is the X factor. So I'm going to take Seinfeld. I'm going to take the Kramer side.
Paul,
All
I
right.
put on this blind real quick, in 10 seconds or less. Leon, can he take Kramer, or is it a no contest?
Yeah, Leon's a crazy ass. He'd be able to take Jerry and Kramer on at the same time.
I went blind. Bet him blind. I love Kurt. Bet blind, Kurt. Bet blind.
All right. Next question. In the classic episode, The Carpool Lane, Larry is running late to get to a Dodgers game. What does Larry do? Pick up a homeless man so he has another passenger to be able to use the carpool lane. Picks up his manager, Jeff, as he's fighting with his wife, Susie, so he could use the carpool lane. Picks up a prostitute on the way to the Dodgers game in order to use the carpool lane, or Larry picks up his wife Cheryl, so he has a second person to get to the game using the carpool lane? Kenny?
There's no way he picked up his wife. I don't know the show, but I'm going to say prostitute.
Okay. Yes. Carson?
I'll say homeless guy.
Kurt?
Prostitute with Kenny.
It was prostitute. He picks up. It's one of the amazing classic shows. You got to see this show. And actually, they were shooting that Curb Your Enthusiasm at Dodger Stadium. And just as an aside, there was a guy who was at the game who was actually accused of a murder, that he was able to use the filming of Curb Your Enthusiasm. He was seen in the stands at the same time that the murder was supposed to be, and there was a documentary about it, and they wound up using Curb Your Enthusiasm's filming to show that he was in the stands and he could not have been the person who was accused of the murder.
Hey guys,
Yeah.
I'm not crazy, but if Paul didn't have any hair on his head, wouldn't he look like Larry David a little bit?
Listen,
A little bit?
just because we observe the same holidays doesn't mean
No, I'm serious. I'm just looking at the pictures. I gotta do. You know what? I gotta get into Photoshop next week.
Yeah, right. I can
That's
see
it. We
that.
gotta get Paul on there. That's it, Kurt. Let's go.
All right. Next question. Over the weekend, Larry David was seen at the UConn-Illinois game, sitting in the stands in the first row, stretching out his legs. In another Curb Your Enthusiasm episode, Larry and his friend Richard Lewis were in the front row at a Lakers game, and Larry stretched out his legs and tripped this Lakers legend, breaking the player's leg in the episode. Who was the Lakers player? A, Kobe Bryant, B, LeBron James, C, Magic Johnson, or D, Shaquille O'Neal? Kenny?
I'll go Shaq.
Okay. Carson
I'll say Magic.
and Kurt?
Shaq.
Yep, it was Shaq. He was amazing in the episode. He played along with it. There was another scene in the hospital where Larry and Shaq are playing categories. If you've ever played that game, it was a classic scene. All right, next question. Who is Larry's favorite Yankee of all time? A, Derek Jeter, B, Mickey Mantle, C, Paul O'Neill, or D, Reggie Jackson? Kenny?
Oh boy, I'll go Reggie.
Okay. Carson
I'll say Mantle.
and Kurt?
Reggie.
His favorite player was the Mick. They had an episode on Seinfeld where they used the number 7 on something. I don't remember the exact details, but that was Larry David's favorite Yankee of all time.
Nice.
All right, next question. In another classic sports-themed episode, Larry befriends a famous Boston Red Sox player who in the episode catches a young baby dropped out of a burning building. Who is the Red Sox player? A, Roger Clemens, B, Nomar Garciaparra, C, Bill Buckner, or D, Oil Can Boyd? Kenny?
I could see Roger Clemens being in the Curb Your Enthusiasm episode. I'm going to go Roger Clemens.
And Carson?
I'll say Buckner.
Kurt?
I'll say Nomar.
It was actually Bill Buckner. They used it was Bill Buckner. They used the, he made the error against the Mets in the World Series. So him catching the baby was like his reprieve again. All right. A couple more questions. As a Jets fan in 2017, Larry David fiercely wanted the Jets to draft this quarterback. Is it A, Deshaun Watson, B, Mitch Trubisky, C, Patrick Mahomes, or D, Joshua Dobbs? Kenny?
Patrick Mahomes.
Carson?
I'll say Watson.
And Kurt?
Yeah, I'm going to say Watson because they probably came off a national championship. So I'll say Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, he begged the Jets. I don't know who the general manager, maybe it was what was the general manager before Joe Douglas? Tannenbaum. Yeah, he begged Tannenbaum. You gotta sign Deshaun Watson. You gotta draft Deshaun Watson. And of course the Jets didn't. Last question. Which NBA player did Larry David find himself peeing next to at a urinal where Larry sneaked a peek at the other urinal to see how he measured up to this player? Who was the player? Was it Derek Fisher, Muggsy Bogues, Ron Artest, or Lamar Odom? Kenny?
Just because I could see in these couple questions the type of humor that this show is, I'm going to say Muggsy Bogues.
Carson?
Yeah, I'll say Bogues as well.
Hey, Kurt?
I'm going to sweep the board just because, like you said, how big is Larry David? So I'm going to say Bogues.
Yep, you swept the board. The answer was Muggsy Bogues. And needless to say, Muggsy Bogues, even at 5'3", kicked Larry David's ass on the show. So those are my Curb Your Enthusiasm sports-related questions. And thanks for playing along with me tonight.
Awesome, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Guys,
This is ending, so you wanted to bring that on tonight. Right?
Kenny, we got a bonus. We got a bonus rapid fire question. I'll start with Carson from Mikey to Mush. Who wins in a karaoke battle singing "New York, New York" by Frank Sinatra? Sis or Joey Clams?
Oh my god!
They're
both winners.
Well, you know what? I would love a duet with them, Carson. Imagine both.
Duet would be good. I think Sis.
Sis takes them.
Yeah.
Paul.
Well, let me just say this. I'm going to answer it this way. Kenny knows where I'm going on this. We were supposed to do this a couple of weeks ago, but this Monday, and I'm telling Kenny, he's going to hear this. Monday, he's going to sing Meet the Mets, and I was supposed to sing New York, New York, and I'm going to sing New York, New York on our show on Monday. So I'm going to throw me in there, and I'll add that to Sis and Joey Clams.
Okay.
There you go.
Real quick, Luby is saying, love your show today.
Hey, thank you.
Kenny, be very careful. Kenny, listen to me.
Oh, I got to say Sis.
Well, you got to say Sis, because you either don't get out of the house alive tonight, or Joey comes and gets you.
Wait, my question is he going to sing that in his Speedo?
That's up to Kenny. Mikey the Mush is saying Clams had connections with Sinatra, so he wins hands down.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, no, he's got to tell that story.
So
you're talking about this Speedo, right? Winner of the karaoke contest, right there. That being said, Kurt, you ready for some final thoughts?
How do you get final thoughts after that?
I can't hold a straight face looking at that picture.
By the way, Pearl Heater is checking in. What's up, Pearl?
Pearl, you turned in at the right. What the heck is that?
Kenny and his. Listen, Kenny, Bink might be the most we got to get a visual. Kenny, you should go live on Monday with the eclipse and just tell us what you see coming out of there. All right, final thoughts. I'll start it. Hey, Final Four this weekend, not only for the men, but for the women. I'm fired up. I want to see Caitlin Clark get it, but it's going to be great games. I hope, again, the UConn men win just because I got money on them. And WrestleMania, Saturday, Sunday. And Paul and Kenny, it's getting tight, man. It's getting tight. But I said to Jen and Carson, you're going to love this. And I swear to God, I said this to Jen. Not this weekend because there's games going on. I said, but next weekend, I told Jen, I don't want to do anything. And when I mean anything, I want to go on the deck, sit on the deck, open, because I'm going to need next weekend, guys, to recoup and just get ready. Because the following weekend on April 20th or April 21st, when our Knicks start our playoff run, my blood pressure is going to be through the roof. So I need a weekend, 4 days of just do nothing, calm down, and then get ready to go because I want to be going into June, boys. Let's go, Knicks. Let's get this done. and I'm fired up. Carson, great job, all you guys. Paul, great job putting the show together. Carson, great job segments. Kenny and Paul, obviously, great job segments. Carson, final thoughts.
Yeah, great show as always, guys. Love talking sports with you all. Shout out to everybody watching in the chat. Yeah, like Kurt said, NBA playoffs right around the corner. Rooting for the Knicks, and yeah, man, we got Final Four this weekend, and NFL draft in Detroit. I'll be in Detroit for the first round in a couple weeks from now, so looking forward to that.
Yeah, and real quick, Carson, we got new faces, old faces, and common faces there. You're going to be at the draft, and you're going to probably be doing something on your YouTube channel, your sports channel going there. So you want to plug that real quick. We'd appreciate it if you can let our audience know what you're doing over there.
Yeah, thanks, Kenny. Yeah, started my own sports talk show YouTube channel. We're also on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. The Carson Shear Show. You can check me out over there. Mostly shorter form, quick, 30-second content of just anything that breaks, any news. I talk about Stephon Diggs today, Pistons, Tigers, Lions, but anything nationally that happens. Like I said, I'll be in the draft a couple weeks from now, so I'll be doing a ton of videos from that. So yeah, the Carson Shear Show. Thanks, Kenny.
Yeah, thank you.
Couple comments. Pearl saying, doing good, been working, have fun. I have shows both weekends. I will be watching. Total draft fun. Paul.
Great show, guys. Thanks, Kurt, for the beautiful, nice gesture. But hey, as Magic Johnson has to feed all of his teammates, all you guys did a great job with all your segments. So appreciate it very much. Could only do as good as everyone else. So team is the only way to go. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in tonight. Excellent show.
And by the way, I got to give a shout out to Jenny Hoops. I'll give a shout out to her on the Bronco show tonight. But right before Easter, another haircut by Jenny Hoops. She does a damn good job. So Jenny Hoops, we got to go live one day, because when we're doing it, I'm screaming at her, "Don't go too high. You're moving it too high." So if you watch it, it'd be like we're arguing left and right, but she gets the job done. So that's good. That gets the job done. And Mr. Kirkpatrick.
No, as everybody said, great show. Audience interaction, amazing. We love you all. There's Carson's Carson Shear Show in the comments. Click on that and join everybody. Great stuff. Like Carson said, he'll be at the draft. We're gonna do a draft show for everybody. Maybe we can get Carson on, sometime throughout the evening. He can come on maybe when the Giants are picking or the Broncos. He can give us a little live interaction there. Might, throw that little spoiler out there for everybody. And real quick before I sign off, Kurt, Mr. Jason Cook saying hello over here. He's saying, Kenny and Kurt, sorry I don't remember the other gentlemen's names, but I hope you all had a great Easter.
What's up,
Paul,
Jay?
that's Paul.
Thank you.
Up on the top right, Jay, and Carson in the pink hoodie down below. Thanks, Jay. Jay's a good friend of ours way back in the day throughout high school. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Jay.
Again, thank you, everybody. Check out Kurt, 10 p.m. Eastern time. And then Saturday will be Carson and Clams in the morning for your Wits and Wagers fun. And What's the Scoop Saturday night, 9 p.m. Thanks, guys, and we'll see everybody Tuesday night next week. Special time. Special person's birthday, Tuesday night. Birthday show.
Last comment of the night from that PA Scratcher, guys. Thanks for the stream, guys. Have a good night. You too.
You too, PA. Thank you.
And we'll be on Monday with New York baseball.
Yes, forgot about that, Paul. With a bag on your head. You got to do it for Eddie. All right.
All right.